Hello and welcome to episode 3, part 2 of the Integrated Fitness Space podcast. We are Jess and Jen, two fitness professionals on a mission to bring more wholeness and humanness to the health and fitness conversation. This episode is part of a 2-part series where Jess and I covered 3 of the most common obstacles we see with our clients, and we offer ways they may become opportunities for further well-being. In part 2, I explore the topic of body image, and I provide insight from my own struggle to find connection and wholeness in my body. Jess then sheds light on how we can find clarity with our food decisions in a world full of information saturation, and also move beyond good and bad food thinking. So, let's pop back in to episode 3. Here we go.
Okay, I'm going to pivot.
Okay, pivot.
Jen, you had this really cool, I think it was an Insta story. I think it was like last week where you were like dancing around and you were like, what is this thing I call a body?
Yeah.
Or what is this thing we call bodies?
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed in that post, you were like enjoying the feeling of having a body.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
So how you see your body. And I know that your relationship to self and your relationship to body has been, it's been quite a long story from what I understand. Looked at yourself with very scrutinizing eyes at some point.
Yes.
And I know that most people do, right? It's very common that we all compare ourselves to other people, that we find our flaws. We focus on our flaws. We're constantly always, what you've called it is not terminal striving. What is your word? What did you
endless striving?
Endless striving.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk to us a little bit about body image and your story of your journey with body image?
Yes. And so one of the reasons we wanted to talk about this is because this is definitely something that I observe with my clients is, one of the first things that people say is like, I want to lose weight. I've gained weight here. And not that there's anything wrong with wanting to lose weight, but I want to kind of paint a bigger picture of how we can explore body goals, right? Because there is in the fitness and health industries right now, there's a huge body acceptance movement, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not to say that we shouldn't also pursue weight loss sometimes, or, whether it's for health reasons or just for fun or bodybuilding or just you want to get shredded for summer, like those things don't have to be wrong or a bad thing. And
I couldn't agree more.
My experience in my body was one that did really feel like endless striving for a long time, where I think early on in my life, I identified that I have a cool body. Like, it's kind of like muscly and not like the typical girl like body. And I think I became over-identified with it, right? It was just like, okay, now I need to like perfect it or something. And also I had some initial early life experiences that made me feel self-conscious of gaining fat, plus living in our society, which is very body-driven.
Mm-hmm.
All of that led me to being fixated on exercise and food as a means to creating my ideal body. And I forever struggled with it because I was disconnected from the more intuitive experience of my body. And ultimately, the body wants to survive, and it wants to reproduce, and it wants to be sexual, and it wants to do all of these really just primal things. And it also wants to dance and have fun and be joyful. The body inherently wants all of that, I promise you. And I think it's almost like, again, no matter how one gets here, whether it's through society, through the voice of a parent or someone near us when we were young, it's almost like all those things I just described that the body kind of naturally wants to do, how it wants to exist, they kind of get suffocated down into
oh my God,
this like mandate. You need to look a certain way. And so it all becomes about my body needs to look a certain way. And I lose connection to my hunger and satiety. I lose connection to the joy in the body. I lose connection to sexual desire. I lose connection to all these other facets of my body. And so for me, that broke open one day when I was looking at myself in the mirror and I had done all these types of diets. I had done all these things. I'd gotten my body to look a certain way, but then I would struggle to maintain it because I, wasn't honoring my body's hunger and satiety and was in just kind of restrictive binging cycles. And I was fed up with the suffering. I was fed up with myself. And I looked at myself in the mirror one day and this voice was like, Jen, you have a good body. Like many of your clients would love to have the body you have. Why aren't you content yet? And that's when something shifted in me that was like, it became very obvious that I needed to pivot. There was something in my mindset. There was something in my mindset. And then I had this mantra come up in me, and I swear it was just my body. It was like my body was taking the reins back. For so long, I had been trying to control my body, right? All of these things that my body wants to express, I was controlling them. And it was like somewhere in there, my body was like, it was buried, but it was like still alive. Like the spirit of my body was still in there and it was going to heal itself from the inside out. So I had this mantra come up that was like, let your body be your body. And I was like, I just trusted that intuitively. I was like, okay, I'm doing things differently now because I had that moment with myself in the mirror where it was like, yo, dude, you've tried everything and it hasn't worked. It hasn't brought you what you ultimately want. To bring this back to like the deeper goal, what I really realized in that moment was I just want to have peace in my body. I don't want to be doing this suffering anymore. I don't want to fucking diet and not feel happy. I don't want to have this struggle with hunger and binging. I'm done. Right. And so it was like, oh, I actually just want to have peace in my body. And so I'm going to let my body be my body. And what that meant for me was when I was hungry, I ate. I stopped struggling with hunger. I let my body be my body. My body is saying through hunger it wants to eat. So I'm going to honor it. It was almost like I had this shift where it was like, instead of me trying to have power over my body, I let my body have power back. I gave my body its power back. And I let it heal itself ultimately. And the mind is fucking tricky. I will say that.
Can I ask you something?
Yes.
When you shifted your mindset,
Yes.
when you had that awareness that, okay, it's time to, I've got this a little backwards, or upside down, or inside out. Did your body undergo any drastic change, or was it more that your mindset drastically changed? Like what happened to you as a result?
That's a good question. And it brings me to the more integrated place to say that I was undergoing a personal transformation in this time in other realms of my life, like with dating, with my spirituality. My mind was being opened. I had just moved back to Philly. I was going through a lot of changes. I didn't just like gain a bunch of weight when that happened. I started looking at myself outside of the narrow fitness lens that I had. Right. So it was like, okay, I'm starting to see myself. Like I was saying, like my body wants to dance. It wants to move. It wants to have joy. It wants to be sexual. It wants to eat and scream and yell and run and whatever. Like the body is fucking crazy. So I started to see it from that broader context. And like, for example, with the dancing, another aha moment I had around that time was that I had this limiting belief that I needed to learn how to dance. And while dance is something you can learn, I have learned that you just kind of vibe with music or just whatever, your body, like it can just move actually. And you have to just give yourself the freedom to explore that. I dropped that belief that someone needs to teach me and I took my power back, right? And I started dancing more in my house alone. And I danced more and more in my workouts, like in between sets. Now I'm dancing and exploring. What does it feel like to move my shoulders like that? And whoa, my body can do that, right? It's like, have fun, explore this fucking body you're in. It's like we're birthed and no one gives us like a really in-depth course on here's what your body can do, right? And
Right?
unfortunately, we're kind of birthed into a society that's a little soulless at times.
Yes.
And is not, I don't think, is connected to all that the body can really do. And so I was like, it's almost like I woke up one day and was like, I feel like my body can do a lot more than I think it can. So let me explore that a little more.
Right? Rather than like this tiny little lens, the teeny tiny little lens of what does my body look like? It's what can my body accomplish?
Right.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
They say we only use like 10% of our brain. So maybe we're only using 10% of our body too. And
so.
Jen woke up one day and she was like, bitch, I want to use 85. And she just started doing it.
And I'm still, so that's the path I'm on now, is like exploring what can my body do in all these ways, not just fitness wise. And one thing I want to say, though, tying it back to body image, was that the beautiful thing is that I started to see how cool, the cool shapes that my body could make, right? And I was like, damn, my body is cool as shit looking, right? Here's the thing. Here's one of the biggest things, and I'm going to actually demonstrate this for our video watchers.
Do it.
Okay. So
take a left.
Okay. So this first image I'm going to show you is how I used to always look at my body, right? In the mirror or whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm ready.
If you're always just analyzing your body with like that critical mind, you're just kind of like looking at it in the mirror. It's just standing there, right? Like kind of lifeless, right? So it's like,
Yep. So Jen is just standing there showing us her abs and it looks very blasé, not quite interesting.
Okay. So there's that, right? If every day, and for years, I would like, just do the ab check or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then I started to, okay, am I about to just get up and dance for y'all?
Yeah, apparently you're doing, Jen, go there.
And then I started to dance in front of the mirror, and it's like, okay, wait a minute. This thing's cool.
Okay, here we go. Okay, it's time to go to YouTube, folks. And she's off. Okay, Jen is gyrating all of the things and having a good time with no rhyme or reason, nor music.
No music.
Jen, I have to tell you.
That was hard.
Every time I dance now, I think of you. Like, I try to force myself to dance.
Yes.
Because I'm very locked up in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very locked up in my head. So I have to force myself. Actually, so I think I've told you this, but the day I had to tell Dave that I couldn't stay in the marriage anymore, I had been preparing for months, a lot of yoga, meditation, all the things. But that particular day, it was a big day. I worked really hard on it. I had on Indigo Girls, Galileo, and I was dancing all over the living room. And I was literally thinking of you. And I was like trying to connect to me and my power and like bring me back, like integrate.
Yes.
I was trying to bring me here. Because I'm like, Jessica, we're about to walk. And then it was more about what my body can do, not what my body looks like.
Yeah.
I literally did think of you as I was dancing around trying to like find my power.
Yes. Dude,
by the way, fun fact.
Yeah.
So speaking of, I had repainted my room. I made a little altar of all my pillars, my female pillars, and I put our competition photo on there. So you're up on my dresser now.
Yes. I love that. All right, I'm gonna need to add you to mine.
Yeah,
I'm creating a new altar now that I'm in a new space.
39 and 40. Just saying. That's a great story. I like that a lot. So you're giving more value to your body, and rather than look at it with a negative lens, you're saying, wait a minute. You essentially are pivoting.
Well, and
in your life.
So here's the biggest takeaway, I think, is that ultimately what I found was what I really wanted was connection with my body. I wanted connection to my body, and my body wanted it with me. It's like we're two, and now we're on the same team. Like my body and I are homies, right? And that body connection is how I express myself through my body, and I take care of it. It says, yo, I'm hungry, and I'm like, all right, I got you. And then it says, I'm good now. And then I'm like, all right, cool, we're good. I want to move. I'm feeling tension. Let me move my body. Okay, body, I'm hearing you, and we're connected. And I was so disconnected from my body for so long. And it's when you're disconnected from your body, and there are reasons we could dive into a whole nother time why that happens for a human being. And it is very common. And I don't want to take that lightly because, sometimes being in our bodies can feel very dangerous and there can be a lot of trauma in the body. And so this isn't just a walk in the park, this stuff that we're talking about, and I just want to kind of put that out there that it's complex.
Thank you for that.
It is. But it feels so good to just be connected. And I think the mind takes over when we're not connected. We have to go somewhere. If we're not in our body, we're in our mind. And then the mind, it comes up with problems to solve. So it's like, oh, I can lose weight now. And let me just figure out how to do that. Right. And that's what the mind is good at, is problem solving. But I think we're most at peace and at ease when we're connected to ourselves in this integrated way. And that means being in the body.
So it almost sounds like, to summarize body image and body goals, what you're saying is to bring more substance to it, right? Bring mindfulness to it, connect to it.
Yes.
Give it a little bit more depth, a little bit more value.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I
think open up the possibility beyond the standard societal body goal of how it should look. How should I feel in my body? How can I feel? Not even should. Take should out of the equation. How can this be?
Could. Yes. I love could.
Yeah. Okay. Shall we pivot once again?
Let's pivot once again, Jen.
We love pivoting.
We're pivoters. Professional pivoting. That's what we're doing.
Dancing.
Absolutely.
So
dancing and pivoting.
Jess, tell us about
Jen.
Information saturation. It is such a thing, and it is a blessing that we have access to so much information. And how does one sort through it and know what path to walk when there's so much information? Let's start there.
It's so hard. I can say probably with confidence that most of the clients that come to me, or most of the people that reach out to me on social in any capacity, are dealing with information saturation. They want to fact check. They want to know, what's the story with this? What's the story with that?
Right.
I remember years ago, somebody writing on Facebook. She eventually became my client. Oh my God, now eggs are bad? I thought eggs were good.
Aww.
Now eggs are bad. I'm so confused.
I love eggs.
And like, there was a serious suffering, like good,
right. Right.
People are looking for what's right. They want to do good, but they think the good is external. So they're grabbing for, because we don't know what our goal is.
Right.
And we're not giving our path, our life value. We're looking for external. So that person over there says that they lost 30 pounds that way. And we believe that what we want is to lose 30 pounds. So we go and we follow their path, what worked for them, what is currently working for them. That's not to say it will continue to work.
Right.
Because we all know there's a before picture, there's an after picture, and then there's the after picture. And with a lot of these things that people are cherry picking little pieces of, we're not looking at the after.
Right. Right.
I'm interested in the after. And I don't know about you, and this is a pivot. I stopped posting before and after pictures of my clients because what I think has value is not a photograph.
Right.
Because a photograph can't capture an internal transformation.
Yeah.
I posted a note the other day of a client who said, taking care of myself is my new favorite hobby.
I saw that. I loved that.
I wrote that down while I was on the phone with her because I was like, that's everything right there.
That's it.
Right?
That's it.
So yeah. So information saturation, I believe, happens. What is it? Right? Let's say what it is. That's when we're cherry picking pieces of different diets and things that we hear from somebody at work, from YouTube, from Instagram, from TikTok, little bits and pieces. And because we're picking bits and pieces and we're not really attached to it, it doesn't have anything to do with our lifestyle or who we are as people. And it might not really be connected to our goal because we might not even know our goal. It's just a bunch of static and noise. That means that we don't
feel
really
overwhelmed just listening to you talk about it.
Girl, it is, right? Like, you ever hear, no shame, no shade, people talk about IF, intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is one of those that works for the dude at work. So I'm going to do that. It works for him. All I have to do is not eat for this many hours. And people pick little bits and pieces. The same happened with keto. Everybody has a different definition of what keto is. Everyone has a different definition of what intermittent fasting is, because very few people are invested enough to really delve in and understand and comprehend all the aspects. We're looking for a quick fix to get us to lose weight. So we don't really give a shit about everything having to do with that diet. For the most part, I'm not going to say everybody, but for the most part, we just want to know, what do we need to know to get started tomorrow?
Mm-hmm. Right, because we're fed up today.
We're fed up.
We're fed up
yesterday.
We're suffering.
We're suffering and we're filled with shame, and we need this to stop. We need to stop the leak.
Right.
So we grab what we need to grab.
And so we think it's more information, maybe. What were we going to say?
We think it's the solution. We're looking for a solution, but we're not taking in a solution. We're actually taking in the anti-solution because it's external. The solution is in here.
Mm-hmm.
So we're taking little bits and pieces. We haven't even identified the goal, the very foundation in many cases.
Right.
Like you said, your goal was to be more integrated to your own body.
Right.
We don't even know the foundation.
Which I didn't know in the beginning.
Many people don't really know their goals. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know who I am. I know who the fuck I am. I understand my life. I know my trade-offs. I feel grateful. And I know that I enjoy my body the way it is now. I enjoy it when it's bigger. I enjoy it when it's smaller. I enjoy physique change. All of that has value to me, but I got my foundation.
The foundation is,
you feel me?
Yes. Yes.
I got it.
Yes.
So many times people are off, like they're picking, but they don't have that. Right. They don't have their goal. They don't have their foundation. Yeah. Nothing's tied. So I have one client I'm working with right now, and she was very much information saturation. She came to me suffering because she had no fucking clue what to eat anymore.
Right.
She had no idea.
Right. And taking it all in. Taking it all in.
Taking it all. Yes.
And not having a sorting system.
So that's it.
What's your inner sorting system?
She didn't have one. So we kind of, I opened up the aperture, right? Give her some info, took away all the restrictions. And she learned that she could eat all the things. I just hit my microphone. She could eat all the things and reach her goals, and her quality of life increased. So she started removing all of the information saturation,
right?
Like peeling it off, picking it off. And then everything became less confusing and more simple. And just by her making things more simple for herself, she is now more able to adhere to diet. Quality of life is up, weight loss is happening, body change is happening. But it's through the removal of that.
Right. Less rules, less
things.
Right.
Yes.
So how does this tie into, you mentioned something about they want to do the right thing, right? And then that
the morality.
This idea of morality.
Good, bad food.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good, bad food. People are really tied to their diet. First, I want to say we all have a diet. Diet is just the food you eat. A diet is what you eat. It's not, doesn't mean you're necessarily dieting for weight loss. There's things to do besides weight loss. And what is right for you is what's right for you. That doesn't make, like, what works for me might not work for you. There's no right, wrong. We're looking for a binary. We're looking for answers. Just tell me what the fucking answer is, and I'm going to do that. What is the good carb? Oh, is the good carb today is oatmeal? So that's what we're eating now? Okay. I'll eat the oatmeal until they tell me to stop eating the oatmeal. And then I'll just eat the meat.
That's
and then I'll put the butter in my coffee.
Yeah.
Right. So there is no good, bad, but people get very, I mean, dude, you've seen the wars, the keto versus non-keto wars. People get very tied into the morality of food, the morality of their diet. The more clean your diet is, the more restricted it is, the more you go without, the holier you are, the better you are, the more right you are. And I don't know that I agree with that, because I think that that's moving further away from something that you could adhere to in the long term, and you're disconnecting from your body when you're removing and suffering and adding. But people get very, very moral about it. And I remember, we've talked about Dr. Gabrielle Fondero. She's my mentor. She's like, oh, love her. How I became connected with her is she had posted about this book, Modern Food, Moral Food. And I bought it and I talked to her about it. And that's how we started our relationship. it talked about the moral implications of restricting food, and it happened around wartime, early 20th century. Am I writing that right? I don't remember. But at wartime, you were more moral or more elite, higher up in society if you went without wheat or if you went without corn. Whatever it was you were going without at the time moved you up a social ladder. And those that went without at that time in wartime would look down their nose at the people who did not go without. And that kind of carries over to today.
Right.
That concept of, I am better than you because I eat clean all the time. I haven't had a cookie in 4 fucking years. Therefore, I'm a better human being than you are because cookies are bad. No food, I want to say, no fucking food is good or bad. It doesn't have a moral component. It's food. You put it in your mouth, you chew it, and you eat it. Now, some foods are super hyper palatable and incredibly yummy. I offer up jelly beans because goddamn, especially the Starburst jelly.
Really? Wow. I was not expecting that.
For real? I used to be a lifeguard, and so we did a lot of water training, and I would run out of energy. So that was my excuse to have Starburst jelly beans in my glove compartment at all times because I needed them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're incredible.
So I will say I'll get down with some Starburst jelly beans.
They're the best things in the world. Jelly Belly's not so much.
Okay.
Too confusing. Too many flavors. They don't all match. It's too much for me. But Starburst jelly beans, you could just take a handful and just shove them in your face, right? So they're super hyper palatable.
Mm-hmm.
Are Starburst jelly beans bad? No, they're not bad. But are they super yummy? And will you probably overeat them if you have 2 or 3? Or will Jessica probably overeat them if she has 2 or 3?
Know thyself.
It's probably likely. But that doesn't mean that they're bad. That means that they're really yummy.
And, and this might be a discussion for another day, but does overeating, is that morally bad?
That is a discussion for another day.
Is that even bad? Do you have to feel shame about that? Right.
I'm not a fan of shame at all.
Right.
Shame should not be attached in the food game because guess what it does? It makes you eat more and feel like more shit.
It keeps
you start to go
stuck in those loops.
Girl.
Again, I think
it doesn't match.
It just is what it is. Like
shame is judgment, right? We're assigning a morality. We're judging ourselves. And therefore we have shame. We have guilt.
Right.
But the act of, so let's go back to the jelly beans. They're not bad. I'm not bad for eating them. Right? I'm not. If I eat a lot of them, I'm going to probably go into a caloric surplus. Probably. Now, if I have a weight loss goal and I just ate all the jelly beans and I went into a caloric surplus, if I remove the judgment, I can just say, well, okay, I guess that's a decision I just made. And now I'm not in a caloric deficit anymore. I'm now in a surplus. I need to go back into a deficit. Go back, just
keep going.
Just keep going. But then we're so mad at the jelly beans and we're mad at ourselves for eating them that we deem the jelly beans bad and we deem ourselves a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And now to get over the guilt of eating the jelly beans, we now need to eat 2 heads of broccoli, 1 pound of chicken, and drink 2 gallons of water and then get on the treadmill for at least 3 hours. That's what overcorrection is.
Right.
Now we've created an imbalance. Now we have the imbalance dance. Where did the imbalance dance begin? It began at our judgment of ourselves, our judgment of the food,
right?
Our assignment of morality to something that has no morality. Now we've created a secondary problem. The first problem was just the caloric surplus. The secondary problem is now the imbalance and the disconnect and the overcorrection that we created because now the pendulum swung to the right. Now we're pulling that bitch back to the left. What's going to happen?
Can I offer something for that moment as well? Right. So you're saying the error wasn't necessarily the overeating. It was the response to how we overate. Because if we're just seeing what is without judgment,
I'm saying don't be mad at the jelly bean.
Right. So in that moment, though, I think that's a really good opportunity for how do we pivot in that moment, right? When we overate something. And if we don't want to judge, what's the alternative? We're so used to judging, maybe we don't even know what the next move would be, right? And I think that's a really good opportunity to get curious, is what I was going to say. And to say, what is happening? Why did I do that, right? What's happening here? And do it in a way, curious compassion, That's my thing. That's my words for
That's
this,
beautiful.
right? So that
Uh-huh.
it's non-judgy. It's like it's simply just like, what did this being that is myself just do in this moment and why, right? I remember when I was still struggling with some of the lower pendulum levels of some restriction and binging. And because it's not something, if you're stuck in a restriction and binge cycle, you might not just wake up out of it one day. You might have to kind of slowly, you know,
Lilt.
yeah,
You're
like
lilting
it's
out of
like
it.
the ripple effect of it is still in you. It's still in your patterns, and it takes time to practice and learn something new. I remember I have this memory in the kitchen. I started like eating this nut butter, this really yummy nut butter that I had with something, and I was kind of doing it in like a bingy way. And I remember I just, instead of saying like judging myself, it was kind of just like, I felt a little bad about it, like, but the overriding experience was like, huh, why am I doing this right now? And then I was like, oh, I've been too restrictive. Okay, so I need to lighten up a little. I need to just enjoy my food a little bit more or have a little bit more food or whatever, right? So it's like now it's like our behavior is our clues. Like when we're
Mm-hmm.
navigating in this way, we don't have to judge ourselves for our behavior. We can actually
100%.
ask ourselves, hey, what's going on here, self? Like, why did you just do that?
So what you were just saying brought me to a thought. You know how you were saying with dancing, it was like instead of like looking at your body with like a judge,
Mm-hmm.
you were like looking at your body and hey, what cool shapes can I make?
Yeah.
Right? That I would tie into my feeling on food and
Mm.
restriction
Mm-hmm.
because it's the same thing. This actually after we finished our competition season,
Mm-hmm.
um I started discovering savoring food,
Mm.
where it's common for people to come out of a restricted state and start binging.
Yeah.
I remembered sitting down and eating this incredible salmon, and it was with white beans and broccoli rabe. And in that moment, I was like, this is amazing.
Mm.
And I was eating slowly,
Mm-hmm.
and I would put my fork down and I would sit back and I would like, what? I didn't want it to leave my mouth.
Yes.
And that is when I discovered the art of savoring. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I've been walking on the art of savoring since we left competition season. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm. Love that.
And I noticed that for myself, the binges the binges don't happen. I enjoy the shit out of food sometimes though.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yes.
there's nothing I love more than a little piece of Parmesan cheese. I
Love that.
love a little piece of Parmesan cheese
Okay.
with a little glass of wine. That's a whole moment for
Mm,
Jessica.
mm, mm-hmm,
But I don't need to eat a whole wedge of it. I only need a
mm,
tiny little bit.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
I don't even need it. I just enjoy it.
mm.
And I don't judge myself for it. I enjoy that.
Yes.
That is a beautiful thing. And I savor that.
Mm.
So for me, it's almost like the anti good food, bad food, morality of food
Yes.
is savoring.
Love that.
And that's the
Right.
antidote
Right.
to like take the judgment away.
Dude.
How about the joy, the permission,
I
the
love that.
beauty, the art?
You just, I'm glad you tied that into the body thing for me because it's all connected. And because there's this word that comes up for me that it's like I started to get more connected to the sensual experience of being a human being. And it is
Mm.
sensuality, right? It's the like vibing with the music, right? Or vibing with the salmon. You're like experiencing it fully,
Yes,
mindfully. It's like I am in this moment fully. Like when you're at the beach, you can hear the waves and you can feel the sand and you can taste the salt air. Like
beautiful.
it's the senses, like open them, relax. And when we're judging, we're kind of
You
uptight.
can't
You
access
can't
that.
relax. You can't
Can't even see it. You're not allowed.
you can't let the moment seep into you.
No, you feel dirty because you did something bad.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
you're missing. What was the sentence you said earlier is like this wild thing, this wild life that we're
Yeah.
living.
What do you want to do
This
with
is
your one
part of
wild life?
what this is your one wild life.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with like enjoy the salmon.
Mm.
So to
Okay.
recap, man, it's like go
I, yeah. I just want
do
to
it.
say, as
Where are
we
you
are
going?
recapping, that I would
Mm.
like to invite our listener, whatever the next thing you're going to eat is, I want you to pause and make it an intentional choice. What do I want to eat? What do I actually want to eat? Because what you're going to do, my friend, dear listener, is you're going to savor this. And this is an exploration. Maybe you're saying, what does it even mean to savor this? Because,
yes,
right? It's a question, right? Let your mind be blown. Take a deep breath first. Relax your body, relax your belly. Give yourself 100% permission to enjoy this sensual body that you're in.
I love that. What a great way to wrap. You know, do the same with exercise. The next time you decide to move your body, make it yummy.
Yes.
Right?
Make it yummy.
Make it yummy. Do a yummy movement. Do the friggin' things.
Wow.
Feel good.
I love that.
So whatever you decide to do, bring your whole self to it.
Yeah.
Be a part of it. And that will help motivate you because now your food just became you, your movement just became you, and you became them.
Right. Make it yours. Make it personal. Make it sensual.
Yes. Yes. This is exciting, Jen.
Thanks.
That was good.
Thanks for joining us.
That was good. I hope the listeners liked this. We're still recording.
Yeah.
But they're here with us.
We hope you guys liked this. We went on a journey. We just went on a journey.
This was fun.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us. I can't wait to hear about all the foods you're savoring and the yummy movements. I love that.
Yes. Yummy movements and savoring food. And
let's celebrate, guys. Can we just celebrate being humans? Like, let's explore it. What does this even mean? Let's celebrate
what is this thing called
Come
a body?
On. Let's go.
Go to Jen's Instagram and find that post. What is this weird thing called a body? It's the coolest post. I think I reposted it. It's the coolest post I've ever seen. It's a very Jen post. All right, everybody. Until next time, yes, we will hopefully have a guest on. That will be our first guest. That's a whole new vibe.
Oh, I can't wait. What's that vibe going to be?
I don't know.
See you guys there.
Bye. Thanks so much for listening and vibing with us today in this integrated fitness space. If you connected with this particular episode and you want to take it even one step further, head over to our podcast page where we provided some reflection, questions, and actions that are unique to this episode. These are intended to help you dig a little bit deeper, sit, simmer, and marinate with some bits and pieces that maybe stood out to you. We want to help you move a little bit more toward action in your life. If something clicked, we highly recommend you exploring it just a little bit further. And if you happen to connect with our mission and you're enjoying this podcast, please share it however you decide to share good things. This will help us reach and help more awesome humans like you. You can also support us by leaving a review on our podcast page. We look forward to sharing a new episode with you every other Wednesday. And of course, you can always subscribe to our podcast so that you don't miss a beat. Until next time,